I still find it hard to believe that we get a new Spider-Man game this year, a little more than 2 years after the amazing original from Insomniac. So while I was always excited because I loved the first game, I still had something in my head telling me it's not a full sequel, still in the same map, just an appetizer for the real part 2, like, don't expect too much. But ever since the Game Informer gameplay rollout, I've been more and more impressed, and this could actually turn out to be a better experience than we had in 2018, especially in terms of combat and gameplay variety, and of course because it's also launching on the PlayStation 5, and we actually learned many of the benefits now, although PS4 players should not feel left out. I usually don't focus a Sunday Your Game show on one game, but really with so much going on for Miles Morales and I'm like super excited about it, I just wanted to dive into a lot of the things we learned from recent news while going over the brand new gameplay. But yeah, I will of course still answer one of your questions at the end of the video as well, so a like would really help the channel out. And let's go. You can actually win Miles Morales in my October giveaway for a 2020 game of your choice. Just click the link in the pinned comment for a chance to win, and be sure you are a subscriber of the channel before you enter, and good luck. The intro of Miles Morales already looks to be nuts. According to the Game Informer cover story, we actually start by playing Miles as himself, not as Spider-Man. So comparable to what we saw at that recent PS5 event. The game of course takes place 1 year after the PS4 title, so Miles is a Spider-Man for 1 year and actually already quite advanced, while he's of course not as skilled as Peter, who was already a Spider-Man for like 8 years by the time the previous game started. But you could actually argue that Miles is capable of more things than Peter Parker already, but I will touch on that in a second. So the first time we take control over Spider-Man in this game is in the middle of a swing, as we've done before. Peter is, by the way, not playable in this game, but he will call you at the beginning and they will meet up to check on a convoy. A villain is getting transported, but without any luck, and you likely already know who is in there, right? A big guy, as Peter mentions. Yeah, it turns out to be Rhino, who then opens his cage, so that revenge that we all wanted from the main game actually already happens at the very start. But we now learned that before that one-on-one fight, we actually first have to chase Rhino through the streets, and then actually also through a huge mall called the Glam that looks insane in the Christmas theme. And here we actually see J. Jonah Jameson as a Santa. Like he was recording one of his shows, already thinking of negative things to say about Spider-Man, and he just got some more ammunition. And we actually know that these radio shows will return in Miles Morales. And that's of course great, because it would be a huge miss if we did not hear his rants about Spider-Man and now likely Miles through our speakers. So Miles can still use gadgets that Peter is known for of course as well. In the short new gameplay footage, we actually see the familiar gadget wheel return, where you can select your web shooters that have multiple charges, but we also see the gravity well in action. This is actually one of the pre-order gadgets that with the pre-order bonus you will unlock immediately and otherwise by playing through the game, and it will pull nearby enemies towards a single point, after which you can follow up with a nice charged attack. The gadget on the left is the remote mine that you put down and then with L3 activate for this shock effect when enemies are near. And I don't think we know the name of the other gadget here. It looks like some sort of decoy, could be comparable to the suit power we saw for the Scarlet suit in the previous game. And there are new suit mods in Miles Morales as well, and actually also visor mods, so things that reveal interesting details, like you can tag enemies to see if they will be alerted when you do a specific takedown. On top of that, we have the camouflage that actually has its own bar under the gadget charges. So activating that will make you invisible for enemies, so you can sneak up to them and do a cool finisher. Like the amount of different finishers that we've seen so far look all pretty insane. And the camouflage actually makes stealth a way more viable playstyle. In the previous game, you could of course try and take out enemies in a warehouse, for example, via the sneaky way first, but you would eventually get caught. But here when it happens, it doesn't matter, because you can turn on your camouflage and go back into the shadows again, and then perform new stealth moves, also now from the walls and ceilings that have some cool new animations. Like in terms of story, Miles should be way less advanced, way less experienced than Peter at the start of the original, and we totally see that with like swinging around. He has like less control, is more flimsy, But in terms of combat, quite the opposite is true. Also, fun fact, Miles seems to start at 100 health, just like Peter did in the previous game. Like, we see Miles get hit here in the mall and go to 90 health. And then also through a leveling system, we actually get more health. But yeah, another thing that will change the combat up quite a lot are the Venom abilities. And sure, Miles is already way more capable than at the end of the Silver Lining DLC when he was like trying to swing for the first time. But still, at the start of this game, he doesn't have these Venom abilities. It's actually something he gets during this tutorial. Peter is on the ground and basically unable to do anything, and then Miles will find this strange power inside him to do the Venom attack against a charging Rhino. And then during this first real boss fight, this second bar under your health bar opens up that fails to do these powerful Venom attacks. And I'm sure we will learn multiple different versions, like we already saw a huge uppercut that launches multiple enemies into the air. And that's overall the big difference here. These Venom attacks are focused on AoE, so hitting multiple enemies at once, where Peter's regular attacks were usually focused on one target, apart from his gadgets. Like, combining all these moves together should already make for way more varied combat compared to the original. It's even mentioned in the Game Informer article that I will, by the way, link to in the video description, that Peter is jealous of the new Venom moves that Miles is pulling off. He actually wants to research these powers a little bit, but the main thing he will be doing during this game is going with MJ to Symkaria, as was already teased at the end of the City That Never Sleeps DLC. And I also speculated about in a previous video. Peter will be joining her as a photographer, and we actually see a conversation between Miles and Peter in the new Insomniac messaging series, where at the end we also see that he got to go to grab lunch with MJ in between interviews. So yes, he's not in New York and left Miles to figure it out on his own. Okay, that's not really true, because Peter still left challenges for Miles to complete, where he via a hologram will teach you about traversal, stealth and combat. Kind of comparable to some of the challenges we saw in the main game. And by completing those, we will actually unlock new skills. But yeah, the most exciting thing to unlock in these Spider-Man games are, of course, the suits. And we already know about some of them, with the true standout still being that cat suit. You sadly cannot put the backpack with the cat on another suit. So if you want the cat helping you out with finishers, you need to wear this outfit. So then you might be like, okay, why would I use any other outfit? And I'm totally with you, but I got to say, this Daft Punk style outfit looks really good too. We of course already knew about the tracksuit that you instantly unlock as a pre-order bonus, but can of course also get by just playing the game. The Crimson Cowl suit is now also revealed, and as someone who loves red and a hood, I totally approve of this one. But overall, I just can't wait to swing around in a newly earned suit every 30 minutes. Like, that gameplay loop from the first game was super satisfying. We of course have teases for even more suits confirmed for this game. Like, finding them is going to be awesome. I can't wait to see what the other ones are. And we of course know that the PS4 game will be remastered for the PS5 and included in the Ultimate Edition, and that also comes with 3 new suits. One of them is from the amazing Spider-Man movies, and James now actually confirmed that these new suits will also be coming to the regular PS4 game at some point, which is great. I just can't wait to go back into this universe again. I really enjoyed The City That Never Sleeps as well, because it took place after the events of the main game, so we had new interactions with those same characters again, and this is going to be the next level of that. And the more I see about it, the more it does actually feel like it's a standalone thing that will let us experience the progression of Miles as Spider-Man, but also continue arcs from the previous games. Like, for example, maybe from Yuri Watanabe, who in The City That Never Sleeps, of course, turns rogue, and she could actually be the Tinkerer, one of the lieutenants of the underground group, who is fighting against the energy corporation Roxxon, as we saw in that gameplay reveal trailer. And Game Informer now published concept art that really heavily implies that there's more to the Tinkerer, something familiar. But there's also so much that we still don't know. Like, all the gameplay we've seen is really from the early parts of the game. More familiar villains will be part of this. We know that Miles' uncle is in the game too, but we don't know his role yet, if he's the Prowler in the story already. And I would not be surprised if they're taking a different route with that, as we, for example, see with the Tinkerer, and there are of course many examples of that in the main game. Like, Insomniac likes to give their own twist to things, and I cannot wait to see what their twist is on some of the familiar Miles elements. And another exciting thing will of course be playing this game on the PlayStation 5. I already showed you that insane scene from the warehouse into the open world, which is seamless, something we of course had to wait for in the previous game with a loading screen. Also, if you die or if you fast travel, there are near instant loads. It just fades down and then fades up, the creative director notes, which sounds insane. I also showed you this screenshot of Miles in the subway, and that's actually from the start of the game, because there are no subway transitions in Miles on PS5, while they will be in the PS4 version, just like regular loads of course as well. I really think that playing Miles Morales on the PlayStation 5 will help make it feel more like a sequel instead of a Lost Legacy type of experience. While it obviously is comparable to that because it is shorter, has less outfits, less villains, again it's set in the same world. While I think that playing on the PS4 will obviously still be great, but it will be less of a jump. Maybe I just did not want to believe that this game was going to be that awesome because of all the other November releases coming out. But the more I see about it, the more I realize how wrong I was. Also, maybe it was because like Brian Intihar, the creative director on the PS4 game, is not involved here directly. Maybe I was like, maybe it's more of a spin-off. Either way, turns out I think I was wrong. This looks like a great new game in this amazing series that Insomniac is likely going to be doing for many years to come. My first game I will be playing on the PlayStation 5 for sure. Let me know your hype level in the comments down below. And the next Sunday video will actually already be in November. Yeah, we're getting close to the next gen craziness. And if you have a question for that next Sunday video, then totally let me know in the comments down below as well. Last week I got a question from Classic Nova Productions saying, do you think we will get another UI video featuring customization options? Well, I think we will actually be getting a ton of PS5 UI videos and videos in general, because as you've maybe already seen, some media outlets and content creators already got the console, so they'll be toying around with that, sharing content about that. There was one person who said that the first embargo would already be on October 27th, and then the next one on November 6th. So yeah, just the coming days, coming weeks, expect a ton of coverage. We still need to see more about Demon's Souls. I think Miles reviews will be dropping, etc, etc. I'll be keeping an eye out and report the important news here. Hopefully I can bring you some unique content as well. And of course I will tell you more about Miles Morales, Xbox as well. Like, it's gonna be a crazy November. Just totally subscribe to miss nothing and to be up to date on the next Sunday video as well. A like on the video would really help the channel out. And totally check out my previous Sunday video about why the future of PlayStation is so exciting in my opinion. For now, I will speak to you next time and goodbye.